The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
構成藤田 Listening Keeping Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin' It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin' It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ASA podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll review Capital Collision and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And we are streaming live right now on patreon.com/KI Strong Style for IWGP tier subscribers. If you want access to the weekly live stream, ad-free audio, and bonus content, subscribe at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. And we're doing a early morning Labor Day edition here, and I see a couple people on the stream. So,
oh shit!
A shout out to whoever's who got up early with us this morning to watch the show.
Did you tell anybody?
Yeah, I always send out the link ahead of time. Oh, Dan Coffin, no days off. I always send the link out, let people know what time it's coming, give them the link. So, yeah, we got a couple people on the stream, and no worries if you're not here live. Also, you get the video replay on the Patreon. So, yeah.
Yeah, you get to see me, bedhead and all. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning.
And, I know that I've been known to have a beverage or two on this show. So let me introduce you to a different type of ASMR. Clanky, 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 clanky.
Got some tea there?
No, fuck the tea, bro. That's for bitches. I drink coffee like a man.
It reminds me of the Drilla promo on Akira. All he wants to drink is bubble tea. Oh, man.
But we are here. We're doing it. You got any big plans for the holiday?
No, I'm just going to be chilling. Unfortunately, my wife has to work. She's a therapist. And so, a lot of people, when they have days off, that's a good time for them to book appointments with their therapist. So she'll be working.
I need therapy. Would it be a conflict of interest if your wife was my therapist?
Probably. But yeah, so I'm just going to be chilling, hanging out. I might, get some bonus audio together for the Patreon. But yeah, I'm just going to be chilling. What about you?
We're not too big on the going out on holidays sort of thing, but I love holidays. So I always try to do a little something. So I got some grass-fed burgers and some corn on the cob and some cucumbers. I'm going to make us a little Labor Day thing. I might go to the store, get a little beverage. Yo, there's this place down the street from me. It's a liquor store, but it used to be a CVS, right? Mm-hmm. CVS shut down. And then this family that's like local in the area, their names are the Jollos. They own a bunch of shit. They own like all these like shopping plazas and car washes. Well, they bought that and turned it into a liquor store. But I don't know what the fuck goes on there. But I've never seen a liquor store that is just packed day and night. Like, bro, I drove past there. Remember when I went to that wrestling show in Lakeland?
Yeah.
I drove past it like midnight and it was bumping. I don't know. I know they've got a cigar lounge in there, but like, what the fuck goes on there? I'm going there today. I'm gonna get us a little, Labor Day beverage, but I'm gonna scope it out and figure out what the fuck goes on there because it's crazy. Like the whole parking lot is packed and there's no one in the parking lot. They're in the liquor store doing I don't know what.
That's crazy.
I can't wait. I'm excited. I've been trying to go there for a while. But no, we're just gonna hang out. We don't really have a grill per se, but I got cast irons with like the little ridges, so give it some smoked char. It's not the same, but we do the best we could do.
Nice.
Maybe I'll go to the pool today. I don't know.
Well, it being Labor Day, that means September has started, and we got a new August match of the month, wrestler of the month.
I don't look at these rundowns before the show anymore. I know that's a bad thing to admit, but like Joe Hendry, I believe in Jeremy Donovan, and so like in the first couple of years, I had to make sure you were on your P's and Q's, but 7 years in, like
first few years, but you used to have the yellow notepad. You used to have the news written out by promotion on your notepad. you were serious.
We're doing better than ever before, and I don't have a notepad, so if it's not broken, don't fix it. But I didn't look at your wrestler or match of the month. I forgot that we were doing that today. Thank God I'm on time. You probably thought I was showing up at 8:30 today, but I'm here. But I do agree with your selections, so there's really no reason to debate the selections. That they are what they are.
Yeah, so for the wrestler of the month, I don't think there's really much competition. It's going to the G1 Climax winner, Zack Sabre Jr., obviously for, I think, in-ring and kayfabe purposes, winning the G1 Climax. Great matches with Yota Tsuji in the finals, Shingo Takagi semifinals. Just a really great closing stretch. And then we'll talk about the Teton match at Capital Collision. I thought that was a really good match as well. And if you want to count the excursion stuff, the Hechicero match, which we'll talk about. Also, he was a part of the All-In Casino Gauntlet. So I think August is a really great month for Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, it's feeling like they're going to screw this guy. Because everything's crescendoing right now. And it's, there's so much forward momentum behind him. But he is white. And... one thing we will talk about, we'll get there, but like, did Naito look like the most unchampionly champion of all time the other night when he wrestled? I was like, is he even the world fucking champion? He didn't bring his belt out. The man,
I think he had the belt.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't remember, but it's still, like, I kind of forgot he had it. Well, the match of the month, without further ado, some people might disagree, but this was probably in most circles the most heralded and critically acclaimed match of the entirety of the G1, not just for the month of August, but also July. El Phantasmo versus Konosuke Takeshita. And, ELP might not have had the most, critically acclaimed or stellar G1 performances out there. Takeshita, on the other hand, had probably by far the most, most people would probably consider him the MVP of the entirety of the tournament. But when those two guys got together and they locked horns, like, they made magic. And yeah, this was a really, really incredible and special match. And yeah, it's the match of the month. And, we always say, when you win match of the month in August, it kind of means more than when you win match of the month in like September.
Yeah, or like December.
Yeah.
So also, with G1 hot and heavy, tons of matches to go through. Also, there was a ton of great matches that happened in August. But yeah, this was definitely the standout match there. Korakuen Hall, Takeshita, ELP. So yeah, great stuff from those guys there.
Absolutely.
Well, let's jump into Capital Collision, which happened this past Friday from the Entertainment and Sports Arena in Washington, D.C., having an attendance here of 2,266, which I guess is, pretty good for a New Japan US show. But that building is pretty big, and it did seem when they did kind of go to the crowd shot sometimes, it did seem a little empty for that building.
I first off, I just want to say, capital, right? They're spelling it CAPITAL. That's not the capital of the United States. That's capital like economics, like money. Why are they spelling it that way?
I don't know.
The event is in Washington, D.C. You'd think it would be spelled with an O, not an A. Maybe because Mercedes Money and it's a money collision. I don't know, but it feels to me like someone misspelled this shit and no one caught it and they just continued to utilize it, because I've tried to search Capital Collision. The only reason is because I'm like, okay, they're in DC, Capital Collision with an O. And then I Google it and there's nothing. And then it's like, oh, with an A. And then I'm like, that shit doesn't make sense. I need to make mention of this on the show. I don't know who greenlit that,
Yeah, I don't know. I was just double checking to make sure it wasn't me that misspelled stuff. But yeah, it's definitely.
Well, it's not you. It's definitely them. And I've had to do that myself. Be like, am I fucking up here? No, it's with an A. They fucked up. That number, Dan coughing, capital equals Monet. Where did you get that 2266 number?
From Cage Match.
Okay. Because Wrestle 6 is 1883.
Okay, so maybe Cage Match, maybe they were pulling an old number from last year, or maybe Wrestle 6 didn't have the final number.
Last year they did 21 something.
Gotcha.
So if they did 2266, they would have outsold last year's, and I don't think they did based on the crowd response, the lighting, and the look of the show. And not to say they didn't do well. I mean, last week I had some criticisms about the tickets that they were moving, and things picked up quite a bit in the last week. So, I think they sold, I'm just estimating, like another 500 or 600 tickets here, which for them in this market for this size of show, that's pretty good. They got close to the mark of what they were trying to do, but I don't think that they had over 2K.
Yeah, I mean, some of those crowd shots, it looked pretty empty, but the front kind of section did seem a little bit packed. So yeah, we'll have to do some more investigation what the actual final number is, but somewhere probably between 1,800, 2,000 is probably. This
is some VKM-ism, some WrestleMania-ism. We did 18, we did 22. Pull the Dragon Gate.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this show. So pre-show opened up, we had the Strong Survivor match. Matt Vandegrift once again continues to survive. He defeats Alan Breeze 6 minutes and 23 seconds.
He is the Strong Survivor, Matt Vandegrift. Like, he should just change his nickname to the Strong Survivor, because at this point, that's just who he is, what he's known for. As time has gone on, I sort of expected, with the criticisms about being like, he looks like Chase Owens, blah, 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 that there would be a shift in his physique and his presentation and his look, but I don't think he's listening to us. I don't know who else he's listening to, but like he's going the other way. He's morphing more into the Chase Owenism. In fact, Chase Owens, from my understanding, is putting in the time and effort in his fucking home gymnasium in his garage. He might surpass Matt Vandegrift, and Matt Vandegrift might decline into what Chase Owens used to be. They might go the opposite direction from one another.
Yeah, he changed the gear up here, which I think the gear was a little bit better. But yeah, definitely, still the body's still kind of looking Chase Owens, and man, he needs to hit up Chris Jericho and MJF, because that hair is not going to last so much longer.
Bro, I'm not going to claim here to have the strongest hair game, but I've got a regimen, and it's a proven successful way. You get some biotin, you get some pumpkin seed oil, you put in the fucking minoxidil, you get some red light therapy. I mean, he's making the big bucks and strong. I'm sure he can afford this shit, Get some DHT blocking shampoo. It's not that hard, bro. You can do it. I gotta say, I was impressed with Alan Breeze when Alan Breeze did anything, but he did very little. He got pretty much eaten up in this match. This is probably the most one-sided Strong Survivor match they've ever done, and I don't know if that's a sign of maybe I'm being charitable here, trying to say that there's a plan in place, and maybe like they want to make him look strong before they give him the quote unquote call up to the main roster. But maybe that's what's happening here, or maybe it could be a situation where, like, I don't know Alan Breeze. I've never seen him before, but maybe he's not ready to have that level of match on this sort of stage. So he was kind of there to just get flopped around by Matt Vandegrift. I don't know.
Yeah. According to commentary, I guess he won. Alan Breeze won the main event at the last Academy Showcase to earn this spot.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that's what they've been doing a little bit of. But he didn't get almost any offense in this 6-minute match. He got pretty much eaten alive.
Yeah. So yeah, Matt Breeze, he hit a Tiger Suplex and a Spike DT to get the win. So yeah, fine opener. Both guys are good. I do wonder.
You mean Matt Vandegrift?
What's that?
You mean Matt Vandegrift?
Yeah, he
won with that.
Yeah, he won with that. I do wonder, I know we kind of joke, like, what is the long-term plan? But I'm like, okay, yeah, what is the plan? Like, is it just we need something for the pre-show and these guys aren't ready, so we're just going to keep doing this kind of thing? Or is there actual long-term plans of, like, yeah, we see something in Matt Vandegrift, so we are going to kind of build him up and eventually get him ready? I mean, we have seen some guys from Strong kind of be pushed over. We're going to talk about on the Destruction Tour, Jacob Austin Young, who used to be on the weekly Strong stuff and has been a part of the Academy. He's now a part of United Empire. So I'm wondering if this is kind of a plan where they pick a guy, kind of get him ready, and then maybe we'll see Matt Vandegrift in Japan next year.
I feel like we're shooting in the dark when we try to ascertain what the point of anything related to Strong actually is, because plans seem to change. It's very nebulous. They communicate one thing and then another thing happens. And then, there'll be big shows or small shows. I do think there needs to be a clear, defined, like, mission statement as to what the focus of these shows are. Because at one point, it did sort of become its own thing, New Japan Strong. It was like the US brand. But as the pandemic ended, thank God, and the travel back and forth, started to kind of, open up, and then they changed the format of what Strong was. They've yet again changed it even further. So now, like, I almost sort of thought that when they did this rebranding of Strong, that it was going to kind of become more Japan centric with its presentation and the types of stars that it featured. But it's more like New Japan US Light.
Yeah.
Like, it has all these unique idiosyncrasies that are unique to North American wrestling, but they're not necessarily doing North American wrestling better. And people want Japanese wrestling. The stuff that they freak out for on the shows is the stuff that's New Japan, but it's so few and far between. And then some shows are really good despite these criticisms. And then other ones, like this one, for me, just like scream like, we need to figure out what the fuck we're doing with this brand.
Yeah, and we've said this from day one. The whole allure of New Japan in the U.S. was it's New Japan in the U.S. It's this Japanese product that everybody loves that was very rare making U.S. appearances. And so when the actual New Japan brand came to a city, it was more of a big deal. And all those Long Beach shows and stuff like that. And now, see, we've had more New Japan in the U.S. And now, again, like you mentioned, it's kind of like this watered down version. And it goes back to a lot of those arguments when people talk about, like, ROH and AEW. They're like, if Tony would just call the ROH pay-per-views like AEW presents ROH Death Before Dishonor, like, it'd probably sell more tickets to do more pay-per-view buys. But if he sticks to the ROH branding, it's kind of the same thing. It's like the New Japan Pro Wrestling brand is stronger than the New Japan Strong brand. So when you throw Strong on it, it immediately has a bad taste in people's mouth. Like, oh, it's a Strong show, so it's not a real New Japan show. There's going to be a lot of, like, American guys on there.
Well, it's double-sided though. On the retort to that would be if you put the name AEW on those ROH shows, or you just put the name New Japan on these shows, then there is the expectation that you deliver unadulterated whatever that product actually is, and clearly these shows aren't quite that. So I'm okay with, me personally, I am okay with them having a sub brand in the US. That's fine. let's just figure out what it is so that everybody kind of understands what we're getting, why we're getting it, and how it plays into the overall picture of what New Japan is. And, you know, when I say like they need to figure this shit out, this is far from the biggest issue in New Japan these days. So it's not something like you and I are talking about every week on the show. The only reason we're really bringing it up right now is because we're reviewing one of these shows. But I do think that it's not even necessarily the primary focus of New Japan's business right now. But if they're going to charge $20 for pay-per-view, you know, and they want to do business here in the States and they want to transfer the Benjamins into yen, then you got to kind of give a clear, defined message. And so we understand what these shows are and how they play into the overall structure of New Japan.
Yeah. Well, the other pre-show match, we had E-Nexus V team of Hanako and Mina Shirakawa defeating Trish Adora and Viva Van in 6 minutes and 56 seconds.
I thought this was pretty good. You know, kind of grading it on the pre-show opener type of scale. Obviously, I wouldn't necessarily grade this the same as some of the matches on the main card, but for the time they were given, I thought that all the girls worked pretty hard. They had a pretty cohesive story that was told, and they got good reactions from the audience. And I would be more than welcome to see all four of these women next time on one of the main presentations instead of just the opener. But I thought this was really good.
Yeah, Hanako, they said that she's on excursion right now in Stardom, so that's kind of getting some experience there. Very tall athlete there, and so I think, yeah, if she can get some more experience, she can be very dominant over in Stardom. And then also Mina, who's on a world tour right now. She's the Rev Pro British champion. She has another title as well, and you know,
shout out to Rich Latta.
Yeah, our own our own Social Suplex Rich Latta. He broke news on, I think, on a Twitter space that Mina is moving to the United States. So yeah, Dan kind of.
I don't even know if he meant to do that.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to like break news. I think there was just like a space that was happening with a lot of Black wrestling content creators, and I guess they started talking about Mina, and then Rich just casually was like, "Oh yeah, Mina's moving to the U.S." And then next thing you know, every Twitter account,
people's minds. Yeah, bro. I was on the New Japan Pro Wrestling group on Facebook that's run by a friend of the show, Rod Easter, and he posted about it. And they didn't know that we know Rich, who's the person that leaked the information or whatever. And I talked to Rich the other day, and he was talking about how like this shit like blew up on Twitter too. I didn't see any of that, but people were fighting so bad in the comment sections of this Facebook group, and just going back and forth talking about like, you know, it just comes down to this is a facsimile for the greater tribalistic argument between AEW versus WWE and how Puroresu fits into all of that. And I just saw people like freaking out about, you know, the business end of things. And I piped in and I was just like, yeah, it's never a bad thing when the wrestlers can dictate how much they're making in an open market. Like, it's not really a bad thing. I get there are things that fans might not like about what's happening, and trust me, I get it, but you know, you can be mad all you want, but like, I don't know. I grew up in the like early 90s, late 80s. I was used to wrestlers jumping ship and going from company to company like that. That was pretty normal back in the day. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we're actually in a time, you know, there's so many like wrestling fans that grew up without a WCW or a ECW and are not really used to a lot of the jumping back and forth. Even with like TNA, there wasn't a huge amount of jumping back and forth. Also, you had guys like Angle and Christian and Booker T, a lot of those guys, but there wasn't a lot of kind of tribalism jumping back and forth during that time period. So people are very unused to having, you know, two major American promotions where people are jumping back and forth, getting better deals, and, you know, really kind of get in control of kind of what they make in wrestling.
Yeah, there was one guy in there. They were saying it's a duopoly. One of the guys that was in there, and he was complaining about Tony Khan boosting the amount that wrestlers are getting paid artificially, right? And there is something to that. I mean, I don't love the idea that a lot of New Japan's top talent got rated in this partnership, which does suck. At the same time, you know, if not for nothing, even if AEW didn't exist, this was going to happen, provided, you know, assuming that the pandemic played out the same way it did, just there's no Tony Khan, there's no AEW. Most of those wrestlers would have probably got swallowed up by WWE for less money.
Right. I mean, even
You know,
pre-pandemic, we already saw that they were going after the top foreign star, even the top domestic stars. They brought in Nakamura. They brought Asuka in from the Joshi side. So they were already going after top stars, domestic and foreigners in Japan. So yeah, even like you mentioned, if the pandemic played out the same way, all those guys like Jay and Juice and Finlay, all those guys like were, tired of the lockdowns and getting frustrated by traveling to Japan, all those guys, they would have probably ended up being on NXT or WWE right now and getting paid way less money.
Yeah. And, and that's, again, this is not me trying to be an apologist for Tony Khan, because at the end of the day, I still do think it's kind of shitty that we lost so much talent to that company. But, at the same time, these are real people trying to make ends meet, trying to secure their families' futures and build wealth and all that sort of thing. And, it is sort of like what, the executive vice president of AEW once said, never be a mark for a company, only be a mark for yourself.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, I do think the whole thing with AEW and WWE coming to prominence, it did deplete the indies. There really is no way for wrestlers to get their reps anymore, because as soon as anybody starts gaining any sort of real notoriety in the US indie scene, they're going to get signed up. I mean, just look at Nick Wayne, for instance. That's a prime example. Young guys like that who just show promise, show potential. And in years past, they would have traveled the world and wrestled all over, wrestling the best people out there. Now they're getting signed up, which isn't bad, but they don't have the ability to get those reps in, to learn from the best on a worldwide basis. It's just not the same as it used to be, for better or for worse. At the same time, CMLL is thriving in a way that they never had before. The Perezu scene is not, but Rep Pro is doing well. So, I mean, it's a give and take thing. But one thing I did mention was, even if there is a duopoly, it's not like these other companies that are out there are dying. They might not be thriving in the way that people want them to be. Like ROH died, but they also got rescued by Tony Khan, but it's not quite the same. That is like one of the major like companies that got killed off in this whole thing. But a lot of that came down to the pandemic more so than anything else. But Impact's doing okay. Their partnership with WWE is really helping them out. It seems like they're thriving. People have other places to work. There is an NWA. There is a GCW.
MLW is doing pretty good.
MLW is doing good. These like kind of niche third tier companies are sort of doing well, whereas like the underneath independent market, like the super indies that were doing well a decade ago, they're almost non-existent. They're not really killing it the way they used to. So wrestling just always changes. It is what it is. But I don't know how we got off on that. But
yeah, let's
people are
just
pissed about Mina. That's what it is. People are pissed about Mina, which we don't even know what's really happening. I mean, she might continue to work in Japan and the US and split her time. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into the main card of Capital Collision. So the show opened up. We had the NJPW Strong Openweight Tag Team Title #1 contendership 3-way match. The President, the Ace, Tanahashi, and Ishii defeating the TMDK team of Bad Dude Tito and Robbie Eagles, and the grizzled young veterans of James Drake and Zach Gibson in 10 minutes and 59 seconds.
I can't 100% be sure, but I feel like I was the one predicting Ishii and Tanahashi last week, and I think you were predicting grizzled young vets. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that the more inspired booking would have been to go with grizzled young vets, but things are weird right now with that whole thing, because they just, left Rev Pro. They're going to AEW. I don't know what the working relationship's going to be for them in New Japan, but it makes all the sense in the world for Tanahashi and Ishii to pick up a win here so that they could be featured again down the line on one of these big, strong shows. Or maybe the next time they're all in Japan, they'll headline a Korakuen Hall or something like that.
Well,
with them
the match, and we'll talk about it, but they're going to face the champions at Royal Quest is when they challenged.
Okay. That makes sense. I haven't looked at the Royal Quest card yet. I've seen a few of the announced people for it, but I haven't seen any of the actual card. This match was fine. Very fast paced, very fun opener. Kind of what you'd expect from a three-way with these guys. I did think Tanahashi looked bad, but not egregiously bad to a point where like it was a detriment to the match. Just more so like, fuck, I love this guy and he doesn't look like what he used to be. But everybody did well. Everybody got their shit in, and down the stretch, it's interesting because Bad Dude Tito was the pin eater here, and it kind of makes sense because Robbie is the much more seasoned vet. He's the more established guy with more success in New Japan. But like, if this was in Japan, since he's the junior, traditionally he'd be the guy taking the pinfall. But Bad Dude Tito is like not really signed. He's not like fully a New Japan guy. Like he splits his time between them and MLW. So they had him take the fall.
Yeah, totally agree with you there. And I think, kind of plugging Tanahashi and Ishii, more Tanahashi in a match like this where, also, all right, you want to get Tanahashi on the card. He's going to get great reactions in the U.S., but you don't want him to have a big singles match. Yeah, you put him in a multi-man tag like this. He can still get a lot of his key spots in, still get that reaction, get him on the card. And so, yeah, fun match, fast-paced. Tanahashi gets the win over Tito with the sling blade and the high fly flow. And, I mean, obviously, I want to see more Bad Dude Tito, and we've said that every time he's on. I don't get, we can get a Jacob Austin Young over in Japan in a faction. Like we have Bad Dude Tito here, who's been in a faction and is great, and we can't get him more towards. I don't get it.
The other day, I've got friends that, believe it or not, I've got friends that don't like or watch pro wrestling.
What?
Yeah. We're in a group chat. They know I like pro wrestling, and there's this video online where it's Bad Dude Tito, and he's got a guy like in a pendulum thing, and he's like moving him like this. And who's the guy that he teams with on the indies?
Che Cabrera, I think his name.
Yeah, Che Cabrera's like leaning back, and he's taking the dude's head, and he's like banging his head into Che Cabrera's crotch. It's like a comedy spot. And my friends are like, Josh is so bricked over this right now. Like, this is what you like? This is what you like? This is your boy? And they didn't even know like that Bad Dude Tito is like a New Japan guy or anything, They just saw the fucking video. But what the thing with Tanahashi is like, we really haven't used him yet in the senior star tag team role yet. Like, I guess you could maybe kind of make that argument for the team with him and Kota Ibushi, but Kota Ibushi was pretty established already by the time they teamed together. And it feels like one of the next natural progressions is to take a young guy and put him in a team with Tanahashi and take him to the titles, and then do with that what you will, booking wise, long term. But him and Ishii, great tag team, fine. But like down the line, I wouldn't be surprised to see him teaming with, name your pick. It could be any of these young guys, even the guys in the black trunks right now.
Yeah. Move on to the next match. We had our good friend Rocky Romero teaming up with Yoshihashi and Kevin Knight, defeating the Bullet Club War Dogs team of Clark Connors, David Finlay, and Drilla Maloney in 11 minutes, 52 seconds.
Yeah, so the opener was really good, very good energy, and this one wasn't bad either. And at this point in the show, I was like, oh, okay, we're off to a pretty decent start. Nothing like notebook worthy, but there's a natural progression on these shows. And I felt like the War Dogs got good heel heat. I thought the Chaos and Kevin Knight team got good reactions. Kevin Knight was doing some really impressive physical stuff, and it was all playing out well. And then down the stretch, Kevin Knight got the win like you predicted last week, Jeremy. So, kudos to you. You kind of called the idea that maybe they might build something with the junior titles. So good foresight there. But after he got the pinfall, which was it was a flash pin, he just got beat down. And then the War Dogs just stood tall. And don't get me wrong, I understand sometimes you do need to have bad guys stand tall and go over, but it felt like the perfect moment to have someone come out and like rescue him or something. And instead they just got all their heat back and just made him look like a punk. And then they just walked out. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe we should trust the booking and they're going to build something off of it. But it just felt like they were like, yeah, if we're going to lay down, we're going to get our heat back. We're going to walk through the fucking curtains with our belts held high. And I don't know. It just felt like a cop out a little bit.
Yeah, I think probably because, Finlay already lost to Yoshihashi in a multi-man. He's already kind of lacking momentum going into that match coming up. So maybe they felt like, all right, we have to give these guys their heat back. We need to make Finlay look strong because he's the second preview match that he's lost to Yoshihashi, even though he didn't get the pin. He didn't get pinned in this match, but still he's on the losing end. So maybe they were like, we're going to heat him back up, heat these guys up, make them look dominant going into these upcoming title matches.
Well, I know what they would have done in Japan, and it's pretty simple. They would have had those guys beat him down, and then somebody like Rocky, whoever he was teaming with, and I don't know if that's like decided yet. Have they announced anything on the cards coming up?
I haven't seen anything yet, no.
Let's say it was Kushida, right? Or maybe it's going to be Rocky. They would have saved him and broken it up. And then on the outside, you would have had Yoshihashi and David Finlay going nose to nose or whatever, and maybe David Finlay lays him out. It would have been like two separate things. That's what they would have done on like a Road to show.
Yeah.
But instead, they just, Yoshihashi and Rocky Romero didn't do shit. They were just laid out and they just beat the fuck out of Kevin Knight, and they made him look like a punk, and nobody came to the rescue, and they just walked out looking like they were. You wouldn't even know that Kevin Knight won this match by the optics of it. They just fucked him up.
Yeah. So it does seem at some point, I'm guessing maybe it'll be Jet Setters will get another shot at Drilla and Clark. Maybe we have a lot of Destruction stuff coming up. There's Royal Quest coming up. Maybe it'll be on one of those shows. And also we have the Finlay and Yoshihashi match coming up on the Destruction tour.
Mm-hmm.
So the next matchup, we had a no DQ tag match. Dirty Work, Fred Rosser and Tom Mahler defeating the West Coast Wrecking Crew in 12 minutes and 5 seconds. Now, I did not see this match because when I was watching the show, this video did not work. Like all the other videos in the whole file work, and we paid our $20 to New Japan World, and for it said I did not have access to this match, and I have not tried to go back since. So were you able to see that?
Yeah, I watched it. And that's another thing too. Like, so, full disclosure, I jumped on Jeremy's fucking account because we're not going to pay for the same pay-per-view twice. Like, we're already paying for it once. That's enough. But, I jumped on there and you'd already watched almost everything. And it's really frustrating because sometimes when you're watching file to file, it will play through. And then other times it'll act like there's that 1 second left on the video and then it will just skip. And then I have to like restart over. And so I had to like jump out. I just miss the old days where you could just watch a show,
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, a lot of people did not like this match. I saw some of the scores online, some of the reviews. They were not feeling it. This was your obligatory plunder match in the US, that every single New Japan show in the US has to have some sort of crazy plunder match. That being said, I do feel like the stipulation was earned given how long these two teams have been feuding with one another and the story progressions. It just might not necessarily feel that way because there's not a lot of spotlight given to it and the shows are few and far between. But if we're being generous, these two teams have been feuding for a long time. This has been one of the more dominant storylines within the Strong brand. And it did naturally escalate to this no DQ, rule set. I liked the match. Me personally, I thought it was pretty good. If you're watching New Japan and you don't want to see a plunder match through the building, then it's probably not going to be for you. But I liked the beginning where they didn't even do the entrances. Like the guys just jumped one another right from the get-go. They were jumping off the stage and brawling all through the opening entrance. Lots of weapon spots, doors, cookie sheets, what have you. No kendo sticks. That's a plus. That's my thing now. If you're gonna do a plunder match and it's non-WWE, you just can't use kendo sticks anymore. Like they've pretty much appropriated those entirely. So like I also don't understand why the fuck kendo sticks are under the ring. You know?
Right.
Most of the weapons that are used in wrestling, they make sense from like a ring crew perspective, and there's a reason, but like who the fuck is using a kendo stick for anything productive? Like it's stupid. Anyways, but I guess doors being under the ring are stupid too.
Yeah. Wait, what about bags of glass and thumbtacks? And
I can suspend my disbelief because they might have planted those there. But that's just a special thing. But like kendo sticks are under the ring every single show. They just find them. They're just always there. Why are they always there?
Maybe Steve Blackman's working on the crew.
I don't think so.
Sliding it under there,
But ultimately, Dirty Work picked up the win here in a very hard fought, action-packed 12-minute match. It's 12 minutes. Didn't overstay its welcome. Everybody worked hard. They all got hit with lots of weapon shots, lots of hate. This isn't something where I'd be like, go out of your way and see this, but I thought it was pretty good, and I thought they made the most of their time. I saw the scores. They're like in the 6s. I think that's a little low personally, but post-show, I didn't watch all of the post-match promo comments, but I did fast forward them to see if there were any developments. And West Coast Wrecking Crew did attack. They did attack Dirty Work during the post-match and challenged them to a 2 out of 3 falls match in the future. So I'm assuming the next time we get a maybe that's the blow off. I don't know. It is interesting. They went from a no holds barred match to a 2 out of 3 falls match, which is like a more classic wrestling stipulation. I don't know why they're not doing like, say, 3 stages of hell, but it is what it is. But that's pretty much where we're at. So Dirty Work picks up the win here. One thing I will say too, Fred Rosser got dropped on his dome and he looked loopy for like the rest of the match, and they still carried him through, and it kind of added to the drama. So
nice. Well, following that, we had my match of the night here with the G1 Climax winner, Zack Sabre Jr., defeating Teton in 14 minutes and 53 seconds.
I thought this was really good. Bordering on great. I don't know if it got quite to great, but like you're saying it's your match of the night. I don't necessarily disagree. I thought it was really, really good. And these guys, they mixed it up. Technically, there was a lot of, back and forth, counter stuff. The crowd was really into it. Like we mentioned, Zack Sabre Jr. is kind of crescendoing in a career high right now. And I think nobody really realistically thought Teton was going to win here, but there was a lot more Teton support than I sort of expected. And crowd was somewhat split, and the match had a lot of heat. It was very good.
Yeah, this seemed like a pretty like diehard New Japan crowd that was here. Yeah, Zach getting huge pop, huge reaction. Yeah, same for Teton, who's kind of like a quasi New Japan guy. But he's been on enough of these shows that if you're a diehard New Japan fan, you know who he is, you know his deal. And so, yeah, you had great reactions when he was doing a lot of his cool stuff. And like we mentioned last week, this was definitely a lot more technical. Yeah, Teton kind of diving into the Yave bag to try and match Zach with some of the holds there. And then when that wasn't working, he would turn his speed up, did his signature, tornado TDT. He would try to do the quick chops, dives, but then obviously Zach was just tying this man up, and towards the end, he caught him tied up, grabbed both legs, and submitted Teton.
Yeah, really, really good match.
Yep. And then following that, we had Zach's opponent coming up for King of Pro Wrestling, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Tetsuya Naito. He defeated the captain of the United Empire, TJP, in 14 minutes and 54 seconds.
And I'd just like to say, this show, 9 matches on the main card, it was sort of kind of positioned that these 2 singles matches were like the, back in the old days, like WWF, they used to have like Hulk Hogan main event in the middle of the card. That's sort of what this was sort of like that middle of the card, high end, before we go right into like what people term as the business end of the card. And for my money, this is where the show started to really fall off the rails and kind of go downhill. Naito and TJP went 1 second longer than Zach and Teton. And in my estimation, I think they had the worst match of the main card. I don't necessarily blame TJP. Naito just looked like a dude who didn't want to be there. And the funny thing is he came out with the big match gear, the entrance, with everything, like the fucking suit, and then he zipped it off and he had a t-shirt on underneath. And I was like, fooled you. You're getting t-shirt Naito tonight. And not only that, but my man's looking a little rotund in the midsection. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that. And I know it sounds like Naito slander, but go look at the scores for this match. It was not good. I don't know what the fuck happened, but like, if hypothetically, and I don't know if this is the case, but if Naito is about to drop this title and he knows it, he looks like a guy that's just checked out, senioritis to the nth degree. He does not look like a dude who's gearing up for a legendary run leading into the Tokyo Dome in the next, quarter of the year or whatever.
Yeah, and it was funny with the t-shirt. At one point, TJP like took the shirt off of him, put it on, but then eventually Naito got it back and put it back on. So wanted to take the t-shirt, and we did get some Oz Wong-ism here. We had a ref bump, which led to TJP spraying the blood mist into Naito's face. But that wasn't enough to stop Naito, and Naito was able to hit the Coriendo inside cradle to get the pin on TJP. And yeah, there's nothing remarkable about this match. And I feel like TJP, he tried hard. I mean, he was doing all his stuff and he's obviously very good in the ring, but it just seemed like Naito was just there to have a match. He was there because he had to be there. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of juice to this.
Bro, he did not look like world champion at all. Like, I was like, this is the fucking world champion. Like, this is so weird right now that why isn't he in the semi-main event,
Right. Or I find it very weird that the two top stars on this show, like Zack Sabre Jr. and Naito, you have them stuck on the middle of the show. And then and I get like it's a strong title, but like you're telling me that you're headlining a New Japan show with Gabe Kidd and Leo Rush over something with Zack, over something with Naito. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. And I don't know. Naito, Dan Coffin wearing a t-shirt to the ring like a fat kid in the public pool. Yeah, man. And maybe he just Naito rose to the occasion. He knew what the score was, and he was like, this is the kind of performance you're getting out of me. You put me, fifth on the night, like this is what you're getting. With TJP, come on.
Right, yeah.
TJP did kick out of a Destino though.
Yeah, I think it was one. It wasn't like the full ramp up.
It was the running.
Yeah, out of the Coriendo version. But yeah, so. So moving on to the next match, we had the NJPW Strong Openweight Tag Team Title match. The TMDK team of Mikey Nichols and Shane Hayes defeating Hechicero and Virus in 13 minutes and 34 seconds.
I don't know what it was, but this match felt like it went on forever for me, even though it was only 13 minutes. I started to my eyes were kind of doing the pat, slumber thing. And every time I try to pay attention, I think that these two teams with a lot of great wrestlers might just not have had a lot of chemistry, because I was not vibing with this match at all. And the crowd didn't seem to be either. I don't know if following the Naito TJP snooze fest got everybody in a certain feeling, but yeah, this did not deliver the way I thought it was going to at all.
Yeah, and I think Hechicero got good reactions from the crowd. He's had a great year this year, but yeah, I don't think they weren't really into Virus, and it didn't seem like they were super into TMDK either. So yeah, it was a fine match. I mean, it's just really nothing here. They hit the Tank Buster on Virus to get the win and retain the titles. Then after the match, we had Tanahashi and Ishii come out to confront them, and Tanahashi says he wants to face them at Royal Quest, and he goes, "The president says so." That popped me. I thought it was freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
So Royal Quest, TMDK will defend the strong tag titles against Tanahashi and Ishii. Then following that, we had the rematch from Windy City Riot, Mustafa Ali and Hiromu Takahashi, with Hiromu defeating Mustafa Ali in 17 minutes and 20 seconds.
I know people didn't like the first match, but I like the first match immensely better than this one. I thought Ali had some good heel shtick, like his jaw jacking back and forth with the crowd and everything in the heat. I thought that was good, but these two guys just did not seem to click either for whatever reason. And the match was sluggish. And then down the tail stretch, they started doing all the super indie-rific boom, 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 and you know what the shit is. Inside out, clothesline,
Poison Rana.
Poison Rana, super kick, and all that shit's great when it's earned and when it has gravity. But when you just start, when people like try to say like AEW is just a bunch of guys doing flips, there's nothing good happening and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's true. But when it's like this, where the match isn't building to that stuff, and then people just start spamming it out of nowhere, and the no selling doesn't make sense. Like, it just kind of, it's like, we're in America. We know this is what's going to work, what people like. This just didn't connect for me, like, at all. And then it just ended out of nowhere. Like, Hiromu he got the time bomb, and it was 1, 2, 3 game time. I didn't feel like these guys really had like a deep struggle, or I don't know. This match to me didn't feel like something that would fit in or belong anywhere near a best of the Super Juniors personally. And at 17 minutes, 20 seconds, I felt like they got a lot of time to do a lot of stuff, and it didn't deliver the way that you would expect a match with these two types of caliber of wrestlers should have delivered. It just didn't.
Yeah, this match felt long, and yeah, I agree. I like the Windy City Riot match better also. And again, with this match, they did all this Daryl stuff, and like, I don't get it, because like, Hiromu doesn't really bring Daryl around in Japan much, and so it seems like Hiromu or Mustafa really wanted this feud to be about Daryl, because again, we had him come out with Daryl Jr. with the mask, and the first part of the match was all about Daryl and Mustafa beating up Daryl, and of course the crowd did like that. They did get reactions, but like, yeah, why is this supposed to be about who's the best junior? That was stipulation. Like, if Hiromu lost, he had to like call Ali the best junior, and like the beginning part of the match is all haha gaga about Daryl and stuff, and then it's like building and getting to the end part of the match that you mentioned. And so yeah,
is this braceletism?
Yeah, this is braceletism. Like, it's about the doll, it's about the stuffed cat, and I don't get why. Like, why aren't they just having like a classic like junior matchup? And
considering who's in it, like, you would just expect so much more.
Right. And I get that Hiromu obviously doesn't do like a ton of the flippy stuff anymore, and he's kind of transitioned into more of a power junior. But still, I'm like, it's Ali, it's Hiromu. Like, you expect this to be some kind of like high-flying classic, fast-paced, like all about who the better, wrestler is. But then it's all about the doll, and Ali just wanted to like get reactions from the crowd and yelling at the crowd and jaw jacking the crowd and kind of wrestling the slow kind of match until, like you mentioned, the last few minutes, where then they started picking it up, hitting the sequences, and then Hiromu finally hits the time bomb to beat him. It just seems like a very flat match for two great guys that should have a better match. And I don't understand. I don't know what the future of Ali is in this brand. There was a post-match backstage angle that we'll talk about after the Leo Rush match, but it's like, I don't get what they're doing with him.
Well, he did declare himself for best of the Super Juniors next year. I don't know if that's him going into business for himself, or if like the offer's already been made. You would hope that it's already been made, but he did proclaim on the mic after the match that he wants the rubber match next year in best of the Super Juniors, which, like, I'm fine with Mustafa Ali being in Super Juniors, but because Super Juniors is Super Juniors. Like, we have outsiders come in for that shit and they parachute in, and that's normal. But that just tells me very likely we're not going to see Mustafa Ali in like New Japan proper under any other context other than that, probably.
Yeah. And if he does come over, I want him to bring the working boots with him. Because yeah, this match wasn't great, and the Windy City Riot match wasn't like a blowaway either. Then a lot of his independent stuff hasn't been like this great blowaway thing. So hopefully if he does come to Super Juniors next year, he's, set to have some great matches.
Yeah.
So then the semi-main event, we had the NJPW Strong Openweight title match as the champion, the Madman, Gabe Kidd, defeated the hometown boy, Leo Rush, in 17 minutes and 57 seconds.
A lot of people like this match, Jeremy. A lot.
Not you.
It didn't work for me. And I don't know if it was just like once we started getting that no momentum, it just kind of continued. But Leo Rush got the big hometown entrance with, what was it? It was a drum line.
Yeah, like a drum line kind of thing. He had a new theme, a new rap song that he did.
Yeah, and that was cool. Big home crowd reaction. That was great. Gabe comes out. He gets great reaction. And I'm like, okay, we're on the business end. Things are about to pick up. And the match started, and it started hot. Like Leo Rush was doing the dives and Gabe Kidd and him. And it was just boom, boom, boom. And I was like, okay, fuck yeah. Like, and I'd seen the scores already. And I was like, this one's going to deliver. And then after that hot opener, it just descended into something where I was like, I don't know, man. Again, two guys that I think should have a greater level of chemistry and a higher level of work. It just wasn't getting there for me. I don't know what the disconnect was. Down the tail end stretch, we started to get more of the spookyism with Leo Rush, kind of like he already came out with like the black face paint, but like it started to like devolve into like the black heartism stuff, which I don't know. I don't get it. Plus, since like the last time we saw him jobbing to Mustafa Ali on the pre-show in a short, match, I don't know. But they did start to, it picked up down the tail end. Like it did. It got good in the tail end stretch. And then suddenly Gabe Kidd just couldn't put Leo Rush away. He started hitting Leo Rush with every fucking big signature move that he had, stuff that I've seen him defeat countless people in the G1 just the last 2 months alone. But Leo Rush, he can't beat Leo Rush. Like he hits him with everything, like every big move.
Yeah,
and
he had a big lariat. He did a running knee. He did a psycho knee. He did a brain buster. He had a pile driver.
He's got the new knee tattoo, which is sick. He pulls down the boot or the pad, and he's got that giant, whatever that is, dragon or whatever the fuck, and it's awesome. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, he hit the clothesline, the brain buster, the psycho knee, a pile driver, all for near falls, and then he finally had to hit him with the doctor bomb to get the win.
And he hit him with the clutch pile driver and then the doctor bomb.
Yeah.
And he had kicked out of everything else before that. And I'm like, I guess in a way it kind of makes sense if a guy's doing a job and you want to make him look strong, he first should power out of everything, but it's Leo Rush, bro.
Right. And Gabe Kidd, like you mentioned, was just in the G1 of killers, like, yeah, beating them just with like one of those moves.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Leo Rush hater whatsoever, but you still got to work your gimmick. Like, think about Rey Mysterio, one of the greatest small men ever in history. When did we ever see him resiliently kicking out of every single monster finisher from anybody? You know what I mean? Like, that's not his thing, His matches weren't structured in that way. Like, that wouldn't make sense for his character. It might make sense for like Shawn Michaels, right? Like Shawn Michaels was like the never say die, like underneath guy that you just believe because he had that like fire. But like, I like Leo Rush. There's a lot of things he does great, but he's not that, like, you don't live and breathe and die with Leo Rush. Maybe his hometown crowd was, but for me, I was watching it and I was like, why the fuck isn't Gabe beating him right now?
Right. It wasn't this over. Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I think that's probably kind of playing into the whole Blackheart thing. He's supernatural. He was tapping into those powers to kick out, I guess. I don't know.
He had that with Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali fucked him up. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, like he lost so quickly to Ali in the last Strong show, pre-show match, and now he's here, semi-main event, and all of a sudden he's like, the stats have gone up because he's in the semi-main event.
I thought the opener was really good. I thought the finish got good until the stretch sequence where Gabe Kidd couldn't put this guy away. But the work in between in the middle, I was a little like, where is this going? What's happening? Like, it just was a little lackluster again. And, the crowd wasn't bad, but it also wasn't like an overly enthusiastic crowd where the workers were able to kind of like vibe off of them either. So that might have had something to do with what was happening here down the stretch. But yeah, from like the Naito match all the way up to the strong openweight title match, I thought the show was super mid.
Yeah. So that leaves us with the main event for the NJPW Strong Women's title. We had the champion Mercedes Moné defeating Momo Watanabe from Stardom in 19 minutes and 56 seconds.
Before we talk about that, two things I do want to make mention of that I thought were good. I thought the production, while not up to the high level of like New Japan, in Japan production, one of the better, like, we've seen really, really, really awful New Japan World production in the past. Even like the show in Chicago didn't have great production. I thought that the actual sound and the way that they shot the show, despite how blacked out the audience was, it was pretty good. And I thought Veda Scott or what's her name?
Yeah, Veda Scott.
Okay. I thought Veda Scott and Walker Stewart were really, really great on the call. I like both of them like quite a bit as a team specifically as well. And I thought they did a phenomenal job throughout the night, but I thought they did really well on the main event, kind of explaining and kind of building the story between Momo and Mercedes here.
Yeah. So we had the match, and I thought the match was pretty good. I know people I think are very high on this match. I think it's like an 8 point something on Cage Match.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think by this point I was kind of just like done with this show.
Bro, and it's funny because we really haven't talked about the show, so I didn't know if you were feeling the same way I was about it. But yeah, I kind of concur. I will say for me, this is my match of the night. It went a bit longer than like the Zach Teton match. I felt like it hit those. I am a mark a little bit for the main event house show style of New Japan, and it did hit that same sort of crescendo. But and take nothing away, the match was very good. I do think the scores are like a little overly high. And think about it, in like, when was Momo at like her apex before they like started to downcycle her and like turn her into
2019?
Okay. In like 2019, 2018, if you would have told like James Boyd that one day you're going to get Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe, he probably would have envisioned it as being a match of the year contender.
Yeah.
Like an all-time dream match.
He probably would have gotten on a plane and like
and this just wasn't quite that. And I know that that's a very lofty thing to say as far as like, because on the one hand, I was very, very critical last week about Mercedes and what's her and Britt Baker in the UK. This was nothing like that. This was a very, very, very good match. I thought they worked well together. I think Mercedes has shown a propensity to work well with Joshi wrestlers, which is awesome. But if I was grading this against all of those Joshi matches, this would probably be the lowest one for me. As opposed to like the matches she had, like the triple threat with the Speed Girls and the match with Kyrie and the match with Mayu and all that stuff. I thought this was on the lower end of all that stuff. And proficiently, it was really good. The crowd was really into it, had a good energy and a good flow. But this was just like a very solid, good to bordering on great main event on a small show in the US. Like, to me, this wasn't anything where I would say, go out of your way, you have to see this. This is a match of the month contender. Like, nothing like that for me personally. Yeah,
same here. Again, I enjoyed the match and great energy. You know, the crowd woke up. Also, Mercedes is a big star. She had a great gear. I loved her. She wore American Gladiator themed gear, and like I grew up, like, I was the prime age for American Gladiator in the early 90s. Like, that was my shit. Yeah, and also we saw like on she did her little blog for All In. She spent like $10K on her All In gear. So I can only imagine how much she spent on this, like the hair, the jumpsuit, the whole gear. She looked like a star. She looked great. As Dave would say, great live show charisma. So overall, I think the presentation was good. Had like a big match feel. And again, very good stuff. Both of these women utilized Meteoras. We kind of had a battle of Meteoras throughout the match. We did get some House of Torture-ism, hate-ism. A little bit. With some ref bumps and Momo bringing in the bat, which towards the end kind of backfired for her, which led to her falling into the money statement and tapping out.
Yeah, I didn't love the bat, but it wasn't too overwrought. She did hit Mercedes in the ribs coming off the top rope with the bat, and I was like, that would break her. She's little, like that would break her if that was real.
Yeah.
But whatever, you got to suspend your disbelief a little bit, and it made sense. It was a good match. As far as my criticisms last week, I don't think this necessarily proves or disproves some of the things that I was saying, because with Momo, and don't get me wrong, I'm not claiming that this was a carry job whatsoever. I don't think that at all. But I do think it's a different thing working with a great worker and having good matches with great workers versus working with underneath people and not being able to elevate them to your level, and that, like, a lot of great wrestlers, and not everybody has that skill, but a lot of great wrestlers, you look at like Kenny Omega, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, like these types of people are known for wrestling lesser talents and elevating them up to your level. Like the Young Bucks, when they wrestle tag teams, they make tag teams look better than they ever actually could be. Mm-hmm. And then, there were times in her career where Mercedes/Sasha did exactly that. I think back to like some of those Alexa Bliss matches. Like those are probably the best matches of Alexa Bliss's career, but like, I don't think she's doing that currently in AEW with the girls that she's wrestling. And with the Britt Baker match, I think that's another example. So we'll see how that all plays out. Maybe I'm early, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. People loved this match, and I would love to say I loved this match, but I didn't love it. I thought it was just very good.
I'm right there. I know. Yeah, people, kind of 4 stars and higher. I'm probably more like maybe 3.75. Like I thought it was a very good match.
It was good.
But yeah, but after watching this whole show, and by the time you get here, and then you had some House of Torture-ism sprinkled in as well. It's just like it's just very good. Like you mentioned, I would not like call James right now and be like, did you watch Mercedes and Momo? Did you stop what you were doing? Like, did you go out of your way? You need to go out of your way and watch this. Like, I wouldn't do that for this matchup. And kudos to you if you liked it. Great. I'm glad people liked it, but yeah, I just wasn't super high on it. But again, it was very good. I thought Mercedes, again, looked at the star. She was great. Momo, did her part as well. So like you mentioned, I think for a show of this size and what the show ended up being, this was like kind of like the perfect main event for a show like this. Had this been on like a bigger stage and it was the main event, I think it
was the main event. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Couple things before we jump into a couple questions here. We forgot to mention Lio Rush was attacked post-show by Mustafa Ali, so they're going to continue that feud. I don't know if that's going to be on New Japan shows or if that's going elsewhere. I know that Mustafa Ali, my understanding, he's not working. I don't think either of these guys are in Impact right now, right?
Yeah, I think Ali's done. He dropped the X Division title a couple months ago, and I think he put a whole letter thing. He's not with TNA anymore.
So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that happened here. I was a little disappointed at the end of the show that we didn't establish new challengers for the strong title for either the men or the women's strong championship titles. Like you would have thought that happened. Nothing happened.
Yeah, I for sure thought we were going to get like Mina coming out to confront Mercedes, but yeah, Mercedes, she got on the mic and just talked about the last time she was in the ring and how her leg broke and how she thought she wasn't going to be wrestling again, and just kind of sent the fans home happy, told everybody could drive home safe, and all that kind of jazz. And yeah, and then just did the CEO dance and just danced around and took pictures. And yeah, we got no angle to set up what's next for her. So, yeah. A couple questions here. Death Triangle 720. Do you think there's an imbalance on the booking of the US shows and Japan shows for New Japan?
I don't know what that means. What do you think he's saying?
I don't know if he means like the booking of the talent on the shows, or I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what I don't want to speculate on it because I'm not sure what he's trying to ask. Death Triangle, you're probably listening. Maybe you can elaborate in the future for us.
Yeah. He also asked, are the New Japan US shows too long?
I think that like if it's a pay-per-view level caliber show, you want it to be like 3 hours, I would assume. I'm okay with 2 hours, but when a show is long and it's not up to a certain level, then yeah, it feels too long. And then when it's great and it's longer, it passes by without you even noticing it. So I think it's more of a quality thing than a quantity thing.
Yeah, if the show's great, Wrestle Kingdoms are like 4 or 5 hours long and they're great. But like a show that's not great and that's like 3 or 4 hours long, then yeah, that's a slog. All right, well, let's take things back over to Japan. We've got a couple of shows coming up. We have Shingo's 20th debut anniversary coming up this Saturday, and we have a question here from Discord Daddy. He says, Shingo has had an all-time run in the NJPW from his junior division run, carrying the world title through COVID, all his G1s, never division matches. What part of Shingo's NJPW run has been your favorite?
His world title run.
Yeah, the world title run was great. I think as much as I love the world title run, I think my favorite probably would be that Power Junior run. Because he was just so dominant in destroying the juniors, and then that 2019 Best of Super Juniors. Like I felt like he was just on fire. Every match out was great, and also crescendoing to that big final with Will Ospreay, and finally losing in New Japan, losing to Will. Like I felt like that whole run was booked perfectly.
I would almost agree, except for he had so few singles matches, or almost, if I recall, none prior to that Super Juniors. It was all tag stuff. And that's the only reason that like holds me back from that. I would be inclined to say his never runs, because he's had, those matches with like Sho, the matches with Suzuki,
Cobb,
matches with Jeff Cobb, those stand out as like, and then Ishii, like, but I just liked him being on top of the company and like being the fucking man, you know?
Yeah, I'll never forget how shocked I was when he dropped Okada with that freaking Last of the Dragon and won a Dominion. I was like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that made me so happy. So Shingo's 20th debut anniversary event is coming up September 7th, this coming Saturday. I'll run through the card real quick. So we've got Daiki Nagai versus Masatora Yasuda, Rita and Shomakato versus the United Empire's Cal Newman and Francesco Akira, Murashima and Taguchi versus Hinari and Jeff Cobb of United Empire, Jado and Shota Umino versus House of Torture's Narita and Sho, Tomoaki Hanma and Tomohiro Ishii versus the Mad Bastards Gabe Kidd and Jake Lee, Bullet Club's Gedo and Taiji Shimori versus Doki and Taka. 7th match of the night, you got the Bebop tag team of Tanahashi, Yano, and Oleg Bolton, as well as Tiger Mask taking on the House of Torture's Dick Togo, Evil, Kanemaru, and Yujiro. Semi-main event, Great O'Khan and Jacob Austin Young versus TMDK's Kosei Fujita and Zack Sabre Jr. And then in your main event, you have LIJ's Bushi and Shingo teaming with Yamato from... Is he still with Dragon Gate? I don't know if he's freelance right now.
Yeah, I think he's still at Dragon Gate.
Versus LIJ's Hiromu, Naito, and Yota Tsuji.
Yeah, so this is pretty much a Road to Destruction disguised as Shingo's anniversary show. Also, you do have the big, Yamato coming in, the big main event there, LIJ versus LIJ, and calling in a Dragon Gate rival and friend there. But the rest of this card is pretty much a Road to show building up for the Destruction tour. And like we mentioned, we do have Jacob.
Who's Rita?
Who's Rita?
Yeah.
I do not know.
So I'm guessing that there might be a little bit like of outsider participation on this show, just a little bit based on the card here.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I have to look up who Rita is, but yeah, so definitely an outsider there. We have Jacob Austin Young coming in from Strong to be a part of UE. And then, the big main event with Shingo LIJ versus LIJ there.
Yeah. And, Yamato and Shingo have tons and tons of history going back to the Dragon Gate days. I would be lying if I told you that I was the expert on the deep lore of Dragon Gate and T2P and all that stuff. But Shingo and Yamato have a lot of history together, so it's going to be pretty cool to see them teaming up. And again, there's this overarching theme that has sort of been playing out this year with inner turmoil, or more like inner competitiveness within LIJ. And that's also being brought to the forefront here once again. So that'll be very interesting. LIJ versus LIJ. Any other final thoughts on that show?
Yeah, I mean, the main event's should be pretty good. And so, yeah, should be a fun show.
The following 2 nights, we have back-to-back Korakuen Hall shows on Sunday and Monday, September the 8th and 9th. On Sunday, we have Daiki Nagai versus Masatori Yasuda in the opener. Murashima, Shomakato, and Tiger Mask versus United Empire's Newman, Great Okan, and Jacob Austin Young. Third match of the night, Jado and Umino versus Narita and Kanemaru. Fourth match of the night, Hanma and Ishii versus Mad Bastards. Fifth match of the night, Bebop Tag Team teaming with Oleg Bolton and Taguchi versus House of Tortures, Dick Togo, Evil, Sho, and Yujiro. Sixth match of the night, Gedo and Taichi Ishimori versus Doki and Taka. Seventh match of the night, Bushi and Naito versus Kosei Fujita and Zack Sabre Jr. of Team DK. Your semi-main event, LIJ's Hiromu and Shingo versus Francesco Akira and Hanare. And then the main event, the NJPW World Television title, is on the line as Jeff Cobb defends against Yota Tsuji.
Yeah, and real quick, Rita is a Dragon Gate young lion.
That's what I was assuming. It was something like that, and that makes sense.
So this Korakuen Hall show, big main event, TV title match, Cobb defending against Yota Tsuji. Do you think now's the time we're going to give Tsuji their first belt, or you think Cobb is going to retain?
It feels like they probably need to do the title change, right? Like, I understand Cobb hasn't had an overly long, lengthy title reign, but he also held that title all throughout the G1. And so, the G1 kind of facilitates like a portion, like an unofficial portion of championships, title reigns. And so even though he wasn't actively defending the title during that time period, he's had it for a while. He's had a lot of singles matches as champion. And Tsuji's just coming off of, being the runner-up in the G1. It would feel weird for him to turn around and lose his first title defense, considering how many other major matches he's had in tournaments and title challenges over the last year or so where he's failed. So I kind of think they need to probably belt him up now.
Yeah, I think that, if I'm booking, I would have Tsuji win and, kind of get him going with a title in New Japan, have him do this TV title thing. But I don't know, there's a part of me that has a bad feeling of like, all right, they want to break Tsuji down and build him back up. And I could see this going to the 15-minute time limit or Cobb winning, but I do hope that Tsuji wins. Yeah,
they've been doing elements of that throughout the year where the first title challenge will end in some sort of non-finishy type of way that will lead to an immediate rematch. I think that that's not necessary here. It would be okay to just put the title on Tsuji, especially considering it's in Korakuen. Elsewhere on the card, you've got Hiromu and Hanare opposite one another, leading to their never title match. Zack and Naito opposite. So there's a preview tag there for the world title. Doki and Taiji Ishimori building to their junior title match, and so on and so forth. So some pretty big preview tag matches there. Even with the Never Six Mans, they're going up against House of Torture, and that's an upcoming title defense for them as well.
Yeah, and also you got a continuation of the Umino story of House of Torture, and there's the Mad Bastards kind of continuing their campaign of becoming a regular team in the division here as well.
And then next Monday before we record, you have Taguchi and Nagata taking on Fighter N and Fighter Y from Go-Go Loser Rangers. I don't know if it's someone in the Discord said it actually is Go-Go Loser Rangers, but I don't know if they're just fucking with me.
No, it's an anime thing.
What? Anyways, Jacob Austin Young versus Shomakato. Third match of the night, Tenzan and Murashima versus Kosei Fujita and Zack Sabre Jr. Fourth match of the night, Jado and Shota Umino versus the House of Tortures, Narita and Sho. Fifth match of the night, Hanma and Ishii versus the Mad Bastards. Sixth match of the night, Bebop Tag Team along with Bolton, Taguchi taking on the House of Tortures, Dick Togo, Evil, Kanemaru, and Yujiro. Seventh match of the night, Gedo and Ishimori versus Doki and Taka Michinoku. Your semi-main event, LIJ's Bushi, Shingo, Naito, Tsuji taking on the United Empire's Newman, Francesco Akira, Great O'Khan, and Jeff Cobb. And then in the main event, the never openweight title is on the line as Hinare defends against Hiromu Takahashi.
Yep, so we have another LIJ title main event here versus United Empire. So yeah, again, I feel it's a situation where we should get a title change. I feel like Hiromu should win here.
Yeah, it would feel weird right now in this post G1 period to be doing, failed title defenses unless you're building to a return match for these guys the next month. Like I'm viewing everything through the prism of we've got a Tokyo Dome coming up. Now's the time to start putting some of these titles on some of your bigger stars to establish what's going to happen come January. And I think that with Hiromu challenging here, of course you could have Hiromu lose. He is a junior, and then you could relegate him back to inhabiting that space if you really wanted to establish Hinare and give him a meaningful win here. But I think we're going the Hiromu Naito route, and I think that necessitates Hiromu winning here.
Yeah, I think that is the best way to go. And obviously we talked about the whole, what does it mean with Naito defending against Zack in October and what the whole plans are, and Hiromu being kind of very mentioning this over and over again and wanting to win this belt and challenge Naito. So yeah, I think that Hiromu should win here. He should beat Hinare and close out the show, never champion. Then you start building towards him going up against Naito at the Dome. And with Hiromu winning here, that's also kind of why I'm like, maybe they might not let Tsuji win the previous night to kind of give LIJ a loss in the first night and then LIJ get the win here. But I think the booking, both of them should win, and then you could kind of have all LIJ with belts, and then Naito kind of lose his and kind of be the odd man out without a title.
Interesting.
Yeah. Def Wrangle 720 asks, which of the upcoming title matches are you generally excited for? Hinare versus Hiromu is the only match I care not to be spoiled on at the moment.
I don't like to be spoiled on anything ever if I can help it. Yeah, I mean, of the two matches, I think that Hinare Hiromu ticks the box a little bit more for me, especially since we've never seen it. We've seen Jeff Cobb and Tsuji, and they have very good matches with one another, and I'm sure this one will deliver. But I'm more interested a little bit in the Hinare Hiromu match.
Yeah, there's more intrigue there, and it will play in more to what's to come building up to the Dome. So yeah, definitely that one.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into the news here. Going to keep this one a little bit short for the holiday. So we got Ryohei Oiwa. His final Noah match will take place on September 14th against the champion Kaito Kiyomiya in a non-title match. And we got several questions here concerning this one. Death Triangle 720 says, with Oiwa's excursion officially coming to an end, should they hold off on returning him immediately and wait until Wrestle Kingdom 19 or dash to have a big return? Acrobatic Ostrich 75 says, with Oiwa finishing up with Noah, do you think it was a successful excursion for him? And Rambone Slam Pig says, where would you place a returning Oiwa in terms of faction, his first program or rival, etc.?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of love for Oiwa out here. A lot of people have been really invested in his Noah run. And first of all, I would say we don't know that his excursion is actually over. So obviously the Noah portion of his excursion will be coming to an end on the 14th. But there's definitely a possibility they could send him to CMLL. They could send him to Rev Pro. They can send him to US. They could send him somewhere else after this Noah excursion's over. So just because he's done with Noah doesn't necessarily mean he's coming right back. He could go somewhere else. But it does seem like this Noah part of the excursion has been great for him. He's had that whole rivalry with Kiyomiya. He was in the N1 and very close to making it to the finals of the N1. So I would say that would kind of elevate him in the eyes of Japanese fans. And it seems like he's going to be in a good spot to come back into New Japan, being in that tournament, having this long rivalry with Kiyomiya, several matches with him. They had a draw in the N1, then his last match is with Kiyomiya, who won the N1 and is the current GHC heavyweight champion.
Yeah, they like to do this from time to time with bigger stars when they're in, a company on excursion. They'll do a send-off match with one of the champions or have them challenge for one of those titles and then lose. Or sometimes if they had a feud, they'll have them do like a hair versus hair match or a loser leaves town match, stuff like that. So this sort of fits that MO, and it does feel like Jeremy said, who knows? They might have something else planned for him post Noah, but for the time being, if that's not the case, it does feel like this is him wrapping up and preparing to return. As far as when and where and how, it's a tough call. Again, everything is within the context of Wrestle Kingdom. So we've seen it done with a lot of success in the past, where you bring somebody back pre Wrestle Kingdom, vignettes, surprise, blah, blah, blah. The first big match happens at Wrestle Kingdom, and that usually has a lot of success. We saw it with Hiromu. We saw it with Jay White. We've also seen some guys do it with less success, like Great Khan. So it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it brings a lot of, a lot of pressure. Even like Jay White didn't necessarily live up to the initial expectations that were placed upon him in that match with Tanahashi when he first came back. So that is one way you could do it. You could have him make his big return and challenge, who knows, let's say Tsuji for the TV title. That might be a way you go. Or you could have him show up at Dash or have him show up on Wrestle Kingdom or whatever, and that be a big surprise. I think that those are your two most likely situations and scenarios. I personally have been a fan in the past where when guys first show up, you don't know who they're aligned with, and then they make their allegiance known after the fact. So I'm hoping they kind of go that way. Mm-hmm. And we really do need to shake up some of these groups. So I'm not lobbying for him to start his own faction, but maybe he could be involved in a new unit of some sort, which is what I'd like to see happen.
Yeah, I think that would be the best thing. It's funny. I've been playing the Journey of Wrestling game, which is kind of like a GM simulator type of game. And I did bring Oiwa back into New Japan, started a faction called Puro Wave. It's him, Masa Kitamiya, Shigehiro Iri, who was Luke Jacobs. I got like a bunch of like random Ninja Mac, and he's like leading this faction. So yeah, I definitely think it'd be cool to kind of bring him back, lead his own faction. We need a total faction shakeup in New Japan. But we also know Tanahashi has talked about wanting to make Hantai stronger. So who knows? Maybe he kind of gets positioned up, especially with a lot of questions about like what on Umino. Maybe they kind of switch and kind of go with Oiwa as the front guy for Hantai.
As far as the excursion aspect of it, I would have to say it has been a successful one. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't like parachuting in and watching everything that Noah's done, but I've been keeping tabs on him. And when you kind of compare it with the buzz and feeling that people had about some of his contemporaries when they're on their excursion, it is quite different. Some of those guys, it's not all their fault. A lot of the most recent ones were taking place during the pandemic, but it's been a while since it felt like somebody really ingratiated themselves into the inner working of the company that they're a part of in a substantial way. That's sort of what he did. Formed that alliance with Kiyomiya, and then it broke up, and there were stories there. He had a successful N1. He's had some matches that have gotten some acclaim, and people have been really high on his performances, his look, and his attitude, and have high expectations for him returning, where you didn't necessarily hear those same kinds of things about even some of the guys that are successful right now, even like Tsuji, even like, Shooter. And the last time I feel like a guy had an excursion where people were high on it, and even this one wasn't all the way across all the time high, but like the last time where it was like people were high on it and it made sense was like Great Okan
Mm.
in Rev Pro, where he like had the title, he had the undefeated streak, and people didn't necessarily dig the gimmick at first, but as time went on, like he sort of made himself like a staple of Rev Pro, and that's kind of similar to what's happened with Oiwa here.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to him coming back whenever he does, and yeah, it should be another kind of injection of youth and shakeup that the New Japan roster needs.
Last bit of news: NJPW Strong Fighting Spirit Unleashed comes to Lowell, Massachusetts, November 8th, and that is going to do it for the news.
We got some questions here. Reddit user Vert McPolygon. There's got to be a third and final match between Zack Sabre Jr. and Bryan Danielson at some point. Could we see it as champion versus champion? Danielson always said he wanted to fight Zack in the UK. Could they wait for Forbidden Door next year or Wrestle Dynasty? Where and when would you do it?
I would not do a champion versus champion match between these two companies in 2024, 2025. I mean, the politics alone would, unless you have a way to draw serious money. Like, I don't think you should do a champion versus champion, even if it's a non-title affair. I don't think you should do a match like that unless like you're packing out a stadium and you're popping some sort of major pay-per-view business number that you never had before. I definitely could see them wrestling one another again in the future, but not as champions. That would be problematic for so many. And the best case scenario in a situation like that is they go to a non-finish.
Yeah, time limit draw.
They go to a time limit draw. They go to a no contest, double DQ, double count out, what have you. But if one of those guys beats the other guy clean, like it fucks up their championship quite a bit. So It's not good for business.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see these guys face off as once they're both champions. I think, there's too much politics, there'll be too much tribalism. I definitely think they'll have a third match in the future, but I don't know when. I don't think it should be as both champions.
I mean, they wrestled in Japan. They wrestled in AEW. I mean, if they did wrestle in the UK, how would that work? It needs to be on a big stage. Rev Pro's not big enough. I think in the past we've joked about Wembley. They are doing Forbidden Door in the UK, so maybe that's a place where it could hypothetically make sense depending on the title situation. And you would do well business-wise doing that match at Forbidden Door. I would probably be down for that.
Yeah. I mean, even if Danielson, we don't even know what Danielson's going to be doing next year. Is he going to be healthy? Is he still wrestling full time? Like, what's he going to be
wrestling? He'll be wrestling. Anyone who thinks he's not going to be wrestling, they're kidding themselves.
Death Triangle 720. What match would you like to see at Wrestle Kingdom for the global title? Finlay will certainly stay champion, but I can't think of anyone for him to have a match against that will be exciting for the Dome.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of Finlay dream matches lined up. Who knows? Maybe you put Oiwa. You bring Oiwa back to beat him. Maybe. How about that?
Okay, so for a match that's never going to happen, but like the only thing I could think of that would have juice that I would be excited about is like him and Gabe Kidd.
Yeah, that could be cool.
We could have had him and El Fantasma. Maybe that could have been something, but nah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if they put him in there with and this is just like the answer to any situation where it's like, I don't know what the fuck to do. What do we do here? You could put Takeshita in there.
Yeah, I'll be down with that. Takeshita is actually my global champion in my journey of wrestling. So,
all right, Jeremy. But if I don't have a Takeshita and I'm not going to break up the Bullet Club, probably Shingo.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, Shingo gave Tama Tonga the greatest match of his career last year in the Dome. Like, if you need somebody to deliver on a big stage and you want to establish a guy, like, I don't know, you could put him in there with one of those young Reiwa guys. I don't think they're going to deliver, but Shingo's going to deliver. So maybe that's what you do.
Yeah. He also asked, with Super Junior Tag League happening in October, should New Japan have one challenger for the War Dogs at the Dome, or should they pull a 4-way match for the junior tag titles?
This is going to sound bad, but I don't know and I don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
the only thing I will say is I think it's time for the War Dogs to go heavyweight.
Yeah, Drillo was looking huge at Capital Collision.
Bro, so was
Clark.
Kevin Knight.
Oh, Kevin Knight, yeah.
Kevin Knight's not a junior anymore.
Yeah. He can fly, but yeah, he's tall and he's jacked.
Yeah, he put on some size. Also, TJP put on some size. I don't know if he's like trying to really make this heavyweight thing work or not, but he's put on some size too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a junior tag titles. They'll probably do a 4-way just to get a lot of guys on the card. So. Discord Daddy says, happy spooky season. Can Young Boy recommend one contemporary and one classic horror flick for us to watch this season?
So this is something that listeners, there's a lot of things. You know, Jeremy, you and I, we keep it close to the vest. There's a lot of shit that people don't know about us on the, even after all these years. Like we just don't, we keep it about the wrestling. We don't divulge that much about ourselves. But yeah, one thing a lot of people probably don't know is like I'm like a deep horror aficionado. Like, and I'm kind of autistic with it. Like I've MJ, a little while back, I had sent him a trailer for a horror film and he like responded to me and said like that he wasn't that big into horror movies, but I misunderstood. The reason I sent it to him is because I know that he likes like dark, spooky, like October-y type of stuff or whatever. And I thought him saying that was just him saying he didn't like scary movies. And then when he asked me this question in the Discord, I was a little surprised by it because I was like, bro, I thought you didn't like horror movies. And he's like, no, like, and I was like, I know I didn't imagine this shit. And then I went back and I looked and I was like, see right here, you said you weren't. And he was like, no, it was a time constraint thing because with his career and also congratulations on your master's degree, by the way. MJ does PR. That's awesome. But you know, he cleared out some personal things that he needed to do, further his career, his education, and now he's got the time. And so like he's spending some time watching some horror movies. So I didn't know that. So I keep a running list. This is how weird I am. I keep a running list of every horror movie that I watch that I can recall. I'm up to like 670 right now. And I catalog them by year and I rank them in order of which ones I like. So I sent him that list. I don't expect him to watch all that, but it's a good little guide if you're looking for recommendations. Usually the shit that's like 1 and 2 are usually like the best stuff. But I asked him what contemporary and classic meant to him. So for him, he said for classic, anything pre-1970s, and then for contemporary, anything post 1990, which by the way, like 1990, it's a long fucking time ago. That's not contemporary anymore. Contemporary is more like the last decade. Oh man. But anyways, so just giving you 2 quick, deep cut, but very high quality horror movie recommendations. Pre-1970, I don't hear a lot of people talk about this movie, but you need to see it. And I'm also gonna, these are movies that Jeremy, you know, you could watch. I know you're not big on the spooky either, but these are not deeply disturbing gore fests. These are high level, high concept, but very, very good horror movies. The first one is Eyes Without a Face from 1960. I believe Eyes Without a Face is French, and was released in the US in 1963. You can watch this on HBO Max. It's available there now. Really, really, really good. I mean, we're talking way ahead of its time, like fucking crazy. It still holds up to this day. Really, really good. Also, the Billy Idol song Eyes Without a Face is based on that movie. And then for a contemporary, I'm going to go a little bit deeper just because this might not be the best movie of even its year, but it's from what is, in my opinion, the greatest year in horror, 2016. There's just too many great horror movies that came out that year that are super high level. But The Invitation. If you guys have never seen The Invitation, highly, highly recommend you check the incredible movie. And it is now available on Peacock. So did a little bit of digging, figured out where these movies are playing. Most of you guys listening have Peacock because you like WWE. I know.
Y'all fed pill out there.
Yeah, y'all fed pilled, but those are where you can watch those movies. And for anybody that's interested, I'll just throw it out there. I do maintain a Letterboxd account, and you can find me at _young_boy. And if you find me there, give me a follow. Letterboxd is the shit.
Nice. Next question here from Rambo and Slam Pig. Which currently existing faction is most likely to disband or change leadership in the next 12 months?
I feel like the one that's the most obvious answer has to be United Empire, although LIJ feels like ripe for something to happen.
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of LIJ versus LIJ this year, and also we were teasing Hiromu versus Naito. We've seen Tsuji obviously wanted to be, a top guy, and he's been in G1 finals. He's had title matches, so yeah, I could definitely see there being some kind of shakeup in LIJ. But yeah, UE is kind of weird too, especially with them like bringing in new members and TJP saying he's the leader, but like Callum Newman was the one in the G1. I think there could be some shakeup there as well.
Yeah.
He also asks, my fantasy booking scenario is Naito drops a belt to ZSJ, somehow ends up the challenger at the Dome, wins it, goes to do a golden roll call, and one or more members of LIJ betray him to usurp the faction or else spin off in something new. I realize that probably won't happen, but do you think Naito will remain in LIJ and just downshift to dad status, or will there be some big narrative to set up his exit from his main event role?
He might be onto something there. I feel like you need to have something meaningful for Naito. I don't think it's enough for Naito to just drop the belt and then continue on to the next feud in a traditional sense, the way that New Japan will do it. Like you drop the belt, you have the post preview tag where the factions fight one another, and then you just go on to the next to New Year Dash, and you build whatever the next fucking angle is for him. I do think it needs to be something within the faction that derails LIJ and shifts him into this next phase of his career that completely keeps him. It needs to be something that keeps him elevated to a high status in the company, but keeps him away from the title. And that's not because I'm not saying this as a LIJ hater being like, oh, you need to keep him away from the title, but like he's a major part of their business. He still needs to be held up to a certain level and used meaningfully, while also allowing, if he's going to be taken away from the title, letting the title scene breathe without him, so kind of encompassing that LIJ verse. He needs something that has some teeth to it. I don't hate this booking necessarily. I don't feel like I just have the feeling we're not getting Zack versus Naito, but there's a lot of reasons that they probably could and should do that, especially if you're a New Japan purist and you're like, we need to have a title match that draws on a high level with big stars in New Japan. Like that's the one you're probably going to do. It's just, we're going to get the same match 4 times in very short succession.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think the Hiromu Naito thing is where they're going.
I do too.
And so, I mean, I think that's a kind of a good way to down cycle Naito, have him win the never title and kind of keep him in that like never mix for a little bit while you have Zack, whoever, kind of be in the world title picture for the beginning part of the year.
Yeah, but I love what he's saying there, because I don't think it's enough to just down cycle him to be like, okay, you're in the never title, you're defending that title, this is where you're at, this is your realm. The story of Naito always thrives when there is betrayal and heartache and something bigger than just titles, and I feel like that's what needs to happen here for him again. I don't know who, what, how, when, where, but I think he's onto something here.
Next question from Sad Goal 8860. What did you guys think of Hangman versus Ishii? I think it deserved better, and it's symptomatic of the AEW New Japan relationship, spanning 2 picture-in-picture breaks and getting overshadowed by the post-match talking segment with Swerve.
I didn't see it.
I thought the Ishii Hangman match was great. I mean, yes, it's an AEW TV match. I was not, it's hard to expect a full on G1 no commercial break matchup, but I thought for the time they had and what they did, I thought it was great. And then and I was kind of getting mad because everybody's like, Ishii's washed. He shouldn't be in G1, and he's out here like killing it, having this hard hitting match with Hangman Page. And I thought it was a great matchup, and yeah, it's TV wrestling. That's what you get with TV wrestling, and I wouldn't say that it was overshadowed by the Swerve thing. I mean, that's the money match, that's the money program, that's what they're building up to next. So like, I get it maybe from a New Japan fan base standpoint. If you're tuning in just to watch Ishii have a great match and nothing else, I get maybe why you'd be disappointed. But like, Hangman Swerve's the hottest thing. They're building to a big cage match coming this Saturday. Like you had to heat that matchup, and I thought Hangman and Ishii was great. And Ishii's whole summer in AEW has been a lot of fun. I heard he had a great match with Kyle Fletcher this Saturday on Collision as well. So yeah, I think the Ishii run's been great.
I see what you're saying, Jeremy, and I agree with you. But I think that he could also have a point. I think that both of those two things could be true at the same time, where the match in a vacuum could be really great. And you're right. Like, this is sort of what you expect from television wrestling, but at the same time, could the match have been promoted better? Could it have meant more? Could it have had less distraction from it? Like, sure, I think both those things can be true. At the same time, playing devil's advocate, New Japan does not treat Ishii like a main eventer. So, for us to expect for AEW to give him the same, to elevate him to a higher status or level than what their partner promotion already does, I don't know,
Yeah. Then last question here from Def Triangle 720. Which rivalry do you think will reach the levels of Okada Naito with the current young crop? I think Oiwa Tsuji or Tsuji Shota could be that next big rivalry for the company.
I don't really view Okada Naito as the big defining rivalry of the company.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great rivalry and also an important one, but like Okada Tanahashi, I feel like is more a career defining. If you compare those two, like Okada Tanahashi, Okada Naito, I think the Okada Tanahashi was more important to the company and where we are now than Okada Naito.
I mean, for me, being a fan that goes a little bit further back, to me, Tanahashi Nakamura is like the feud of their generation that defined them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then Tanahashi was the one that came out on top. And then you have the passing of the guard feud with Okada, like what you're talking about, which I do think overall, per capita, produced the most classic matches in New Japan history. But for Naito, I'm trying to think about that. Who would be Naito's generational career rival? I guess in a way it is Okada.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, they have their Young Lion matches together. So I think also it's a big generational one, but as big as that rivalry is, it doesn't feel like this defining kind of thing.
It is. It was the tail end of the golden age of New Japan Pro Wrestling. That really closed that out at the end of Wrestle Kingdom. Was that 14?
Yeah.
They headlined the Dome 3 times or twice. They wrestled in the Dome 3 times. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I do personally though. I've always seen Nakamura and Tanahashi as a much more defined and major career rivalry, especially considering the level of pushes that both guys were given for such a sustained amount of time against one another. That to me is the feud. I don't know. But Tsuji's career rival guy is Uemura.
Yeah.
And Shooter came up with Narita.
Right. But I don't know if those, like, I think Tsuji and Uemura have a better chance of being something bigger than, like, Umino and Narita, especially like the reaction that Tsuji got using the deadbolt in the G1 those last couple of matches. So I think there's some juice there, but like Umino and Narita at this point, with Narita being House of Torture and Umino kind of still figuring things out, I don't know if that's going to reach heights.
And like Oiwa came up with Fujita, and they're going to be in totally different classes by the time Oiwa gets back. Right now, if I had to guess, I would say Uemura and Tsuji.
Yeah.
Especially coming off that G1, but we don't really know.
Right. And who knows? Like this, there could be, maybe Tsuji Oiwa does spark something. We don't know. We have to wait till Oiwa comes back. But current day, as things are set, I think Tsuji Uemura would probably be the best shot. All right, well, that was the last question. Last thing here, recommended match of the week. So you recommended that we watch the Hechicero Zach match from the Rev Pro Anniversary Show. And I think you also caught up on the match from CMLL.
I did, and I watched both of those today. Did you watch the Rev Pro match?
Yeah, I watched it right before we got on here.
So both outstanding matches. I feel like right now, if you had one guy that, if we had an award for like Excursion Wrestler of the Year, it'd probably be Zack Sabre Jr. Just the output that he's had this year has been fucking phenomenal. Yeah, that match with Hechicero. So the first one in what's the arena they wrestled in?
Arena
I was
Mexico?
gonna No, they didn't wrestle in Arena Mexico.
I forget.
Arena Coliseo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's like more like your diehard tuned in like fan base, and both of these crowds, both the Rev Pro and the CMLL match, were phenomenal, but completely different types of wrestling crowds, and the style of match reflected that. The type of work that we saw in the CMLL match and the Rev Pro match differed quite a bit, which surprised me, because oftentimes when you see two guys that have a lot of experience against one another, and then they, this wasn't necessarily a situation where the one match built to the other within, you know what I mean? Like sometimes there's a rivalry and the matches are connected and they're building off one another. Mm-hmm. This wasn't necessarily that. Like there is a loose connection through the, partnerships with all these companies, but this match happened in this part of the world. This match happened in this part of the world. They didn't build off one another necessarily. The 2 out of 3 falls match in Arena Coliseo was sort of exactly what you'd expect from these two guys when it comes to their technical prowess. And it was literally like a dream match of the Mexican lucha libre Yave style versus like that Lancashire catch style World of Sport classic pro wrestling of Zack Sabre Jr. And these two guys, one thing that's beautiful about their matches, like I don't think they're like laying out hardly any spots whatsoever. They're just going out there and they're working on the fly, and they're calling it, and maybe not even calling it in the ring at all. Like they're just kind of flowing. Mm-hmm. And there's certainly some key things that each of them do in their matches that they're known for, that they're working into the work. But overall, it's like they mentioned it in the Rev Pro match. They called it like these guys are just jazz, like they're jazz performers. It's all by feel. And the first fall of the 2 out of 3 falls match was literally just grappling, just two guys trying to out grapple one another and showcase their superior grappling skills. And ultimately, Zack Sabre Jr. was able to tap out Hechicero in the second fall. Zach had more focus on the body part of Hechicero. He was attacking the arm. And one thing that was crazy was, in Mexico, they typically work from the right side, but in the rest of the world, they work from the left side. And normally when wrestlers go over into somebody that they're facing's style, they switch their style. These two guys never switched. I was watching. It was really weird. Like, Zach continued to work from the left side and Hechicero continued to work from the right side, and they both just kind of like dealt with it. Mm-hmm. So it really was like a clash of them trying to impose their style on one another. But down the tail stretch of the second fall, it was all Zach attacking the arms of Hechicero, and it was body part selling and everything. And then boom, out of nowhere, Hechicero reverses an Irish whip to the corner, gets the big running knee, and then just wraps up Zach into a crazy submission. And he gets Zach to tap. And I don't know if I've ever seen Zach actually submit in a match before. So that really kind of gave me similar vibes to like, used to see Ric Flair do this, where he would, give up a submission, or Harley Race would do the same thing, traveling, world champions, 2 out of 3 falls type matches. They have definitive clear finishes. So we saw a bit of that. And then those were 2 very early, quick, successive finishes back to back, boom, boom. And that's very typical in 2 out of 3 falls matches in Mexico, especially big singles matches. And then the final fall was where they really turned up and started breaking out the big guns. And they did get into some strike exchanges, but it mainly still revolved around catch wrestling and reversals and near falls and boom, boom, boom. And these guys did not keep a slow pace. Like, yeah, there weren't dives to the outside. Yeah, there weren't top rope spots. Yeah, there weren't a lot of high spots. There were very few bumps whatsoever, but the work rate that they kept was so fast and so fluid, and the way they were able to work out everything, like it was like a master class of chess. It was crazy. And then ultimately Hechicero gets him in a crazy jackknife, pinfall predicament. And while the ref is not looking, he hooks his foot underneath the rope for extra leverage, and he gets the 1, 2, 3. It's a little bit sneaky, but it's also like he ain't get caught,
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd is just rabid the entire time, and that's unique, because like if this same type of match was happening in Japan, the people would be oohing and eyeing and clapping for transitions and stuff, but they wouldn't be going rabid. This Arena Coliseum crowd is just fucking rabid the whole time. Just incredible match, badass, technical, like masterclass, like incredible.
Yeah, that CMLL match was great, but I think I like the Rev Pro match a little bit better, and kind of a similar atmosphere. But also, I think the Mexico crowd was probably a little bit more amped, but the Rev Pro crowd was definitely very lively throughout this whole match and very excited. When they announced that, your first, British G1 winner, Zach, the crowd lost their mind when Zach came out. And so this felt like a really big rematch here. And so again, a lot of grappling based, kind of seeing this whole rivalry is like who's the best technical wrestler. So a lot of grappling, and Hechicero's targeting Zach's leg throughout the whole match and trying to set up a leg submission throughout the match. And then Zach's kind of having to counter that and fight back and hold himself. I mean, at one point, Zach even busted out a head scissors in the match, which is crazy. Like, when do you see?
Yeah, he never does that.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, this match was just awesome. I felt like the crowd was just so electric as well. And Zach working to get the submission towards the end there.
Yeah, the crowd wasn't quite the same, where it was like sustained reaction. It was more your typical Western style audience where they're reacting to the action in the ring. They were but it was still a magnetic environment, especially the support they were giving to Zack Sabre Jr. I think this is like the first or second time Hechicero's wrestled in England, or I think he wrestled recently on those Fantastic Mania shows, but he's not overly exposed to the Rev Pro audience, and they still were tuned in and smart enough. They probably are aware of his reputation. He's been exposed on AEW and everything like that. So the crowd was amped for this one. And the style of work, yeah, you're right. They did do a lot of chain wrestling. They did do a lot of submission work. They did a lot of, countering and near falls for pinfalls. But I was expecting a lot more of the same in this match. But like the early portions when they were doing these chains, like the chain wrestling, it was all nasty. Like they were like throwing in strikes and little like stiff shit, and which was very different from like the sportsman type of work that was in the first match. And then they only did that for a short period of time before it started getting into the strikes and then they did start to brawl, and then they, like you mentioned, like this was another thing. Hechicero didn't work the right side this time. He like shifted and worked the left side, and I'm sure that this is probably something he's used to doing, like from his time working in the States and abroad. But yeah, he like completely changed his style to, still do what he does, but do it within the context of like Western wrestling, which was very unique and interesting. And I loved he kept hitting the high knees on Zach. He hit a top rope Hurricane Rana on Zach at one point.
Dude, Hechicero, for his size, the way he flies so easily, like he'll just like run, like bounce off the ropes, like he's like a Leo Rush sized guy.
Yeah, they were chain grappling at one point. He did a step over flying like head scissors. Like he's really fluid. It's really crazy. But these guys had an entirely different style of match than the first match, and it was like just totally different, but just as good. I think that they understood the crowd that they were working towards and what they expected here, and kind of what the style of like Rev Pro is, and they did that while still getting in the Yave shit and the World of Sport style. And like earlier when I was talking about how like the Mustafa Ali and Hiromu match, and they started doing indie-rific stuff, but it was unearned and it just didn't fit, and it was sluggish. These two guys down the stretch started to bust out some of that stuff, and it was so unexpected, and the crowd was reacting so big for it, and it was like, okay, this is how you build the excitement for the big moves that you want to start doing down the stretch. I don't know necessarily if one match was better than the other. I think they're completely different. I'm probably about equal on both of them personally. I would say the one thing that the first match lacked was it was lacking a definitive like exclamation point on the end. Like the work was so good, and then boom, a flash roll up, and it was 1, 2, 3, and you're like, okay, he got him, but it came out of nowhere. So it almost kind of might have left you feeling like fuck, but at the same time, like you can't deny it was a great finish. So it's awesome. This one had all of the big moves, double downs, the selling, give the crowd space to react, the chants, the holy shits, fight forever, blah, blah, blah. Like this was like high level, but I was hoping for a slightly bit more of what you expect from a Hechicero Zack Sabre Jr. match, and they kind of subverted those expectations in the best way. But it's a totally different style of work between the two matches, which I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah, like you said, like this one, the Rev Pro one was definitely a little bit more gritty. It's like, all right, Zach's probably a little pissed. He's like, it's supposed to be like a classical, flowing technical match, and you want to cheat and you want to be dirty. Well, I'm going to be a little dirty too, and so I think the aggression was definitely upped here. And so it was a little bit more personal, I feel like, than where CMLL was like, it's kind of a dream match, technical, who's the best technical wrestler. This one was a little bit more personal, and so a little bit more, you mentioned little jabs in between submissions and stuff like that. And Hechicero kind of working the midsection has kind of been like the target for all of Zach's opponents this year, and kind of really targeting
that. Yeah, and Zach was selling those ribs still again, which I was like, what is it? Is this real? Is it not? Is this Matt Jacksonism? I don't know what the fuck. Yeah. But down the stretch, Zach just ultimately gets him in a crazy submission and taps him out taps him out right in the middle of the ring. Crowd erupts. And that felt like a bit more like satisfying conclusion to the match. They got a little bit more time in the Rev Pro match, but the audience reaction, as great as it wasn't the same sustained crazy environment that the first one was. And even though there's bigger spots and bigger Western style work that probably is more palatable to, traditional wrestling fans, they actually worked a slower pace than the groundwork of the first match. So it's give and take. There's huge differences between these two matches, but they were both, like, to me, master classes. I'm near 5 on both of them. Like, I don't know if I can go full 5 on either of them, but I'm probably like 4.5 plus, 4 3/4. Like, I'm really high on both of them. I think I like the first one a little bit more.
I think I'm like 4 3/4 on the Rev Pro and like 4.5 on the CMLL one.
Last thing I'll say before we move on. I remember in 1996 turning on Nitros and seeing Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit and those guys like have those early short matches where I was like, what the fuck are these guys doing? And it was like, in retrospect, they weren't doing anything I hadn't ever seen, but I had never seen guys work that fast paced of a style with that many counters and fit that much action into a short paced match, where I felt like I was seeing a new type of wrestling entirely. And it made the rest of wrestling look kind of dull in comparison to what they were able to do. That's kind of what these guys are like. Like, I can't even call what they're doing because I'm like, these transitions are so high level and the shit they're doing is so crazy. It almost feels like a new level of wrestling has been unlocked, but they're just masters at their craft. They're not doing anything we've never seen before. They're just doing it in such new, crazy, inventive, fast-paced, actionable ways. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I will say with Hechicero, like, you know, he's been mentioned doing a lot more like international stuff this year. A lot of the stuff he does, like, yeah, like I don't expect him. Like, he does stuff also we've seen, like, but you mentioned, like, he gets into stuff in a different way where, like, it looks like he's doing one thing, but then he ends up doing something completely different. I'm just like, how? Like, how did he do that?
Yeah. Very, very high on that. So yeah, that's awesome. Are we ready do you have anything that you want to watch next week?
I was going to say, let's watch the Oiwa Kiyomiya N1 match that went to the draw.
That's a great call. We can definitely do that. I am going to recommend the Tomohiro Ishii versus, who did he wrestle on that Rev Pro show? Was it Luke Jacobs?
JJ Gale.
JJ Gale. I always get Luke Jacobs and JJ Gale, their names mixed up. Yeah, I'm going to recommend the Ishii JJ Gale match from this same show.
All right, let's do that. Well, that's going to wrap things up for us this week. Next week, we'll be back to review the Shingo anniversary show and the 2 Road to Destruction from Korakuen Hall. Remember, if you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KIStrongstyle. You can also make a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media. On X, follow us at KI Strong Style, at Suplex, and at Jeremy L. Donovan. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/socialsuplex. Also join the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy. Josh is Keeping It Strong Style. On YouTube, we are at Social Suplex. Join our Social Suplex Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans. You can email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio with Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite with Floyd Johnson Jr. and Austin Sumowitz. Imp's WWE Adventure with The Implications of Matthew Mayer. Wrestling Art with Chris Slings. Tunnel Talk with Ali and Leah. And the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.